Hello? I can
Hi.
hear.
Yep, I can hear you as well.
Okay. Okay. Hmm. Yes. And then, okay.
Yes. Hi. Hi, everyone. Thanks.
Right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. This is Startup Product and Tech Q&A. We've been doing these for just over 4.5 years, almost 5 years now. Um, I'd say about 290,000 people have tuned into these sessions, and none of that would have been possible without people like Nelly, Angelina, and Adrian. So if the panelists would like to drop their LinkedIn URLs in the chat in case anybody wants to follow them, I guess that's the least we can do for their time and great advice that they drop in our sessions. In terms of what we're doing here today, it's quite simple. You see, unfortunately, over 90% of startups fail. And the top three reasons for that are one, market fit, two, running out of money, and three, not having the right people. And there couldn't be anything more important about product fit than your ability to build the product and tech right. And that can be anything from your product roadmap to design, prototyping, testing, your tech stack, tech debt, automation, all the way to launching your MVP and pretty much anything and everything in between or beyond for that matter, which is why we're here today. I've got three amazing panelists with us. Uh, Normally, we also have people that are quite techy. Today, it seems the panelists are more on the product side, which is fine too. And what we're going to do now for the next hour, we'll be taking questions from the audience on anything to do with your product and tech. There are no wrong questions and there's no need to be shy. Now, for those of you that are on the live streams, please be aware that unfortunately we are unable to monitor your questions live. So if you do want to ask our panelists anything, it'd have to be here on Microsoft Teams. And the quickest way you can join us, it's either to go onto our go onto our website, startuptoscaleup.club, and then scroll down a little bit. You'll find today's session, which is Startup Product and Tech Q&A 170. You click join. It's a quick registration. That gets you onto Luma, basically. and via Luma, you'll then be able to see the link to join us here. Being audio only, it means that you can tune in from anywhere via any platform or device. And if you're like me, you don't need to spend an hour in front of the mirror either. Again, just a reminder, if you are on the live streams, whether that's LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, please be aware that unfortunately we are unable to monitor your questions there live. So you would have to join us here on Microsoft Teams. Now, the way this is going to go today, we're going to try and keep it pretty straightforward. We'll go through some introductions. Then I'll be asking the panelists for their main do's and don'ts when it comes to early stage product and tech. And then we'll start taking some questions from the audience. For those of you that end up making it onto our Microsoft Teams call rather than the live streams, the way it works is that you drop your question in the chat. We'll then give you the mic, and then you can go ahead and ask whatever question you have, and in terms of whatever help you need, really. I guess without further ado, my name's Anton Call. I'm an Albanian in London working with startups. Normally, right after they get investments, I embed within their teams and help them hire and keep the right people. I also do some growth advisory work for a few other startups and accelerators, as well as helping some angels and family offices with their due diligence and assessment. Perhaps we can start with Angelina, then Naily, and then Adrian, please. Take it away, team.
Hi all, my name is Angelina. Thanks, Anton. I have been in product for 12 years now and counting. I've been passionate about technology for 21 years. I've worked with startups, corporates that are in the millions and multi-billions. So yeah, I'm more than happy to help. Any questions today?
Hi, I'm Nailina Kandu. People know me as the Mary Poppins of startups. I started my career as a software engineer, and along the journey, I transitioned into intersection between creating amazing products and leading a technical team. So it takes different shapes and forms depending on the kind of engagement I work with my clients, which ranges from whether we're talking mid-sized to large company, but mostly startups and scale-ups. So I'll be more than happy to answer any question that you might have. Yes.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. My name's Adrian. I am the CEO of a software as a service sort of scale up. So we do digital certificates, but I've also had experience with a physical product and tech product that we did in another company a few years back. And I've also done event management as well in another startup. So I've got experience with various things, and like the other two, very happy to help.
Wow, that's amazing. We've got a golden team today, and I hope people will want to make use of them. We are only going to be here for the next 51 minutes. Just a quick reset of the room for those of you that have just joined us on the live streams. This is Startup Product and Tech Q&A 170. We're here to help you with whatever questions you may have as you build your early stage product and tech. There are no wrong questions and no need to be shy. It's a learning curve for us all. Your questions today can be on anything to do with product and tech, whether that's your product roadmap, your design, your testing, your prototype, your automation, perhaps tech debt, tech stack, obviously, anything to build your MVP, and whatever else there is in between or beyond for that matter. Just again, another reminder to those of you on the live streams that unfortunately we are unable to monitor your questions there live. So if you do want to ask our panelists anything, you'll have to join us here on Microsoft Teams, which is an audio only call, meaning you can join us from anywhere via any platform or device. Quickest way to do this is either on the links that you see on those live streams, or simply go to our website, startup2scaleup.club, You scroll down a little bit, you'll find today's session, Startup Product and Tech Q&A 170. Click join. That'll take you to our Luma events page. And on Luma, once you register, which is a quick registration, you'll be able to see the link you need to click to join us here. Once you're here, then simply drop your question in the chat. We'll give you the mic and you can ask the team. And until you get ready to do that, maybe we can go to our panelists to try and get some do's and don'ts. I'm sure they've seen or they've had their fair share of horrible stuff that founders do when it comes to product and tech, but I'm sure they've seen stuff that they were impressed by. Maybe we can start with let's start with Adrian, then we'll go to Angelina, and then we'll go to Naily. One do and one don't each, please, team. And let's try and keep it using different logics rather than the same reasoning for both.
Okay, well, I think one of the things that you should always do when you're starting something with a new product is test it and check with potential customers, people, friends, whatever, that it's something that they would use and want and what the features are. There are a lot of people that are really technology push rather than market pull. So what that means is they force an idea onto the market which isn't really ready, rather than allowing the market to define what's needed and solving the solution. And then the other thing is don't underestimate how long it's going to take to get a product, even a software product, out onto market, because it takes a long time to get from the drawing board into the prototyping phase, testing phase, and then on into a real product that people can use in anger. And that costs time and money, so be prepared.
I think it's me next. I would say don't try to scale too fast, or too quickly. I have seen pivots will happen, even if you've, I don't know, scaled up to 50 people and you're making millions per year and it's all great and you want to, increase the team and you want to get 70 people in still. Then I've seen companies fail and have to let people go after a few years of having scaled previously. So I would say just be careful with who you hire and make sure that it's a definite need to the business, and don't think that it won't change, because it will. Another don't, I don't have any do's, unfortunately. On the flip side, try not to do everything yourself. Now that we have vibe coding out, and everyone is trying to vibe code their way into their next multi-million-pound business, even if you do reach MVP on your own or only with 2 or 3 people, just remember there's, in order to scale, you do actually need people, which kind of contradicts what I said before, but try not to run the business too lean, otherwise you'll just stress yourself out, you'll burn out, and maybe you'll fail. So yeah, hopefully that helped.
And great advice so far. And I will just tag along and follow along the lines of what Angelina already mentioned when it comes to vibe coding. But I would say don't even start building, even if you're using vibe coding, if you don't really know what you want to build, what you are testing. Because I think at the moment there is a lot of misconception about what vibe coding can do and cannot do, especially if we are talking about a product that can scale. Vibe coding is a tool, and when I say don't start building, I would say don't start building full stop until you're very clear on what you want to build. And that takes me to the do. Do think very carefully about what you want to build for whatever next iteration, whether we're talking about an MVP, when we're talking about the first version of a product. The most important thing, or one thing that people do not think about, is what will be the success criteria, what are your KPIs, what are you testing, and what more importantly, what is the actual value to the customers and what they will want to something that will really make them want to move from what they're doing at the moment to using your platform. So until you're very clear on that, don't even waste your time going into vibe coding, because yes, it's meant to be fast and quick, but what's the point into rushing into a direction that is the wrong direction in the first place?
That's some amazing advice from all three of you, and thank you very much for that. Right, here we've got 45 minutes to go. I think it's time we take some questions. Let's go on to some questions that were sent in to us. I've put one in the chat. I'll read it out loud for the live streams, as they can't read the messages here on Microsoft Teams. But the panelists can they can refer to them if you need to as you give us your answer. So this one is, I think they came through our Go London partnership, and it's right. So she says, I'm a co-founder of a prop tech startup in London that allows users to schedule and manage property viewings. We struggle with user stickiness as people often book once and don't return. How can we identify key touch points that drive repeat engagement, and which product metrics should we prioritize for improving stickiness? Maybe we can start with Angelina, and then Nelly, and last but not least, Adrian, please. What would you do here?
Do we know what type of business it is?
Angelina, if you are you able to look at the chat? So
I
I'm
can
a
see the
co-founder.
chat, but I can only see everyone's LinkedIn.
Right below it, if you look below it, after everyone's LinkedIn.
I don't see anything.
Oh, that's strange. Can the others see it, or have I messed up?
Yes, I can see the
You
question,
can.
and
Perfect.
Antonio.
All right, I'll read it out loud again, Angelina. So she says, I'm a co-founder of a property tech startup in London that allows users to schedule and manage property viewings. We struggle with user stickiness as people often book once and don't return. How can we identify key touch points that drive repeat engagement, and which product metrics should we prioritize for improving stickiness? So I guess a few things. One, improving stickiness. Two, identifying key touch points that will kind of bring repeat engagement. And last but not least, what metrics to use or to bear in mind for that. If you want, I can go to the others first, Angelina.
Yeah, sure. I need to think about that one.
Okay. No, that's all right. Nelly, would you like to go first, then Adrian, and then Angelina, please?
Yes, sure. So one of the things, the first question I had in my mind is when you're talking about this idea of helping user to schedule and manage property viewings, I'm putting myself here as in your target market will be the estate agents more so than the people looking for a house. So that's the first assumption I'm going for that, because then the issue are twofold. If your main target market are people looking for a house and want to use your platform, then the stickiness is actually a big problem, because obviously once I found the house that I want, why would I come back to platform? So that's one way of looking at the problem and coming from that angle. But if it's the main issue is with the landlords, landlords using your platform, the first thing I would like to do, even before we get to the point of metrics, engagement, and KPIs, is what kind of feedback are you getting? And I think that's the most important aspect. How much do you understand about the way the market is? One of the issues when I work with other prop tech startups or ideas, one of the biggest problem at the moment, especially in cities like London, is that there's an oversaturation. So by the time a property goes on the market, there's the timeline between property on the market, someone either books a viewing or even get the property off the market is very, very short. The second biggest issue is the way that people manage their processes. There's a lot that goes on WhatsApp. So if I have to use your platform to manage the viewings, how is the interaction between me, the landlord, or the estate agent, and the person who want to do the viewings? With the frustration or the interaction between them, is that seamless enough that it means that once I use your platform the first time around, I come back? Or is the question of I've used the platform, and then as I'm talking to a potential person wanting to view, bearing in mind that we're talking 10 or maybe 20 for a single property, how quickly can I talk to everybody, exchange information, and book everything? So that's one of the biggest things I would say. If you are struggling with stickiness, but people are giving it a go, maybe they already see the value of your platform. So I would say forget a little bit in terms of the metrics and KPIs. More than happy if you want to share more information here so we can talk about it more. But the first thing I would say, you need to have feedback, follow up, understand maybe from your platform if you have way to understand at what point in the user journey on your platform they jump off, because then that can give you an indication of where they thought this is too complicated or this is not serving me. And actually, if you want to look at one thing, if they are already coming in at least once, how many viewings had they booked using your platform? And you can also ask them how many viewing they would book for if they were using their own whatever method they are using at the moment. I hope this helps. I'll pass on to Adrian next so we can add more.
Yeah, thank you,
Thank
Nelly.
you
I
very
think,
much.
I
Sorry to
think you covered
interrupt,
a lot.
Adrian.
Yes. So Nelly covered a lot there, and I think I agree with all that she said. I mean, one of the problems is it's a two-sided market, as Nelly pointed out. One side should be stickier than the other because of the nature of what's going on. So you really got to understand that part of the market, and I guess also what that unique selling point is. What's the value proposition of what you're doing over something like WhatsApp calendar, Calendly or something. In terms of the key touch points, given that you're a prop tech using software of some kind, you ought to have ample opportunity to understand through logging and sort of behind the scenes analytics as to what the user journey is. What are people doing? How long are they visiting? And also which bits of the features do they hang around on or populate more in terms of where are they spending their time? Because I think that'll help you understand what they value about what you offer. So, and I think also asking the customers that you've had with the survey, either automatically or contacting them separately afterwards would also help. So, in order to deal with stickiness, you really need lots of information about that user journey and the things that people are valuing as they go through your process.
Thank you, Adrian. Angelina, any thoughts on that?
Yes. From my perspective, I agree with both. I actually agree that the metrics shouldn't matter at this point. I think it's useless. The thing that actually matters is your end-to-end journey from beginning all the way to end. And when I say end, I don't mean from when they onboard onto your website and go to a viewing. I mean from when they go to a viewing and what happens after that, which I think is a little bit unclear. So the actual physical speaking, do they take phone calls with the customers or clients after everything's happened? Do they ask why they didn't go back, or they didn't feel the need to use the system? Once you have that end-to-end journey and process, you can really dig deeper, do a deeper dive into each process or each part of that journey, and really understand exactly where your drop-off is during that whole customer journey. Then you can start thinking about where you can put improvements into your journey or website or process, whether it's doing phone calls or emails. And then you can figure out, okay, to be successful in this, what kind of metrics do I need? Which is why we can't give metrics ideas at this moment in time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, it's tricky when they're not here for us to kind of ask questions, but would you say if they wanted to focus, or if the problem was mainly with users because they might have wanted to use, or they were hoping to get some kind of network effect, the actual viewers would kind of refer this to other people? Is there anything that can be done there, or there is no point because they should focus on the vendors and then just kind of take it from there? Any quick add-ins? Let's start with Naily again, then Adrian, then Angela.
Yes, I think to me, if they were to focus on the viewers, and as have since been said with this marketplace idea, it's always a struggle of who do you attract first, because the challenge to me is really about, I'm assuming again, the people who will be paying for this platform will most likely be the people providing the properties on the market. And the challenge here is really about, if we were to ask you and to summarize the value of what you're giving them in one word or in one sentence, for example, why is your platform make life easier when it comes to scheduling? If then the second question will be, once you know that, then what is the next part of the flow? As the other speakers talked about, this end-to-end flow, because sometimes it could be that maybe they see the value in terms of one part of the scheduling, but what happens once they have a few emails, when they've already agreed with the viewings? It's just a question of having to download the data manually to put into their own platforms, where they will need to continue tracking through the life cycle journey. I guess this is the point where, when we talk about, when you start building, build in small increments so that you can actually learn from the market and adjust, because you are struggling with the part number one. You can't build the full platform. But the second part is, once you've given someone a little bit of value, then their mindset goes, right, thanks for helping me here, but it's not helping me do the next step. So in terms of looking at how do we get more users, I would say, or improve the relationship with the user, it will go back to understanding, with what you have, how much does it really, really help them streamline property viewings, especially as we've mentioned, there are so many other platforms that could help them do the same thing much quickly at the moment. And if there's anything you can do there, that'd be great. If not, then the value becomes, once they've done that part, how can you speed up their life as part of the end-to-end cycle, so that they can see the value of migrating and bring the users with them? When it comes to people looking for a house, to be honest, they're more likely to follow once and follow whatever process the landlord or those organizations will want to go for.
Yeah, so just to follow up, yeah, I mean, I think the idea of building a community that allows to increase referrals and bring a buzz around a product or a service is a good one. But I think for this particular question, there are a few too many unknowns, as we've just discussed, about the sort of the business model and the value proposition, and so on. So I think all founders should have in mind how they can build more, especially with software, more engagement through that kind of platform community thing. And I'm sure there are opportunities with this particular application to do that. But I would say at the moment, you've got to better understand the lack of stickiness in this particular case, which will help you understand how to build the community and the repeat custom afterwards.
Angelina, anything, or shall we move on to the next?
I'm going to repeat, however, I'm going to probably just give you some extra information. It really, talking to the vendors is, I think, the most important thing. Trying to speak to the viewers is also important. Maybe trying to get feedback, email feedback forms, phone calls, and probably I'll send you the link, or I'll put the link in the chat. Have a look at, if they're interested, Lenny's podcast. There's a solo founder who he sold his business for $80 million. And he did exactly that. He built his product from feedback, and he just iterated over time. And within 6 months, he built his product. And I think he sold his business to Wix. That's it.
Not a bad day.
from my side.
80 mil, not a bad day's work. Thank you very much for that, Angelina. Right. Quick reminder then, we've only got 13 minutes to go. I see some of you on the live streams. Just a reminder, we are unable to monitor your questions there live. So if you've got any questions in terms of building your early stage product or tech, and by the way, there are no wrong questions and there's no need to be shy because it's a learning curve for us all. Your questions can be anything related to your product and tech. So let's say from your product roadmap to design, prototype, testing, launching your MVP, and anything in between or beyond for that matter. You'll need to join us here on Microsoft Teams to do that. It's audio only, which means you can tune in whether you are working from a shared office in London or perhaps you are cooking lunch, changing baby nappies, walking your dog, or whatever else you may be doing right now. You can use any device or platform. There are two quick ways, I guess. One, it's to click on the links on those live streams, whether that's LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, or simply go to our website, startup2scaleup.club. You click on today's session, which is Startup Product and Tech Q&A 170. Click, scroll down a little bit. You'll see the session, then click join. That takes you to our Luma events page, and then it's a quick registration and you'll see the link there. Once you join, simply drop your question in the chat. We'll give you the mic and then you can fire away asking your question. Now, if your questions today are not on product and tech, please save them for the other Q&As we run. Normally, on Mondays, it's talent, Tuesdays, product and tech, Wednesdays, growth, Thursdays, fundraising, second Friday of each month, it's UK startup law, and third Friday of each month, it's UK startup finances. They're all from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time, and they're all available on our website, startup2scaleup.club. This week, however, we are going live in person at the business show in London at the Excel, which is or claims to be the world's largest business events. Will be at 14:45 on Thursday, the 13th, in Theatre 12, with 4 amazing panelists, and we'll be there in person. So please do come say hi. We've got some free tickets. I will put the link in the chat right now, and people can tune into, can just click to get the free tickets, basically. But otherwise, normally they are on a Wednesday at 12 to 1 in terms of growth, and the others, they don't change. They're just as they've always been. So I think it's time we go on to our next question. This one's from Cardiff. Our lifestyle app in Cardiff helps users with eco-friendly habits, but we've received feedback that the UX is overwhelming with too many options up front. How can we improve our UX to make it more approachable and guide users naturally through the core features without overwhelming them? And just before we go on to the panelist, a kind of half apology today, because the panelists that we have, in terms of their background, they seem way stronger on the product side. I'm trying to avoid some of the questions you sent that are a bit too techy. That would probably be best for some of our engineering leaders when they join next time. So bear with us. We will go through it next time. This time, let's start with Adrian, then Naily, and then Angelina, please. What would you do here?
This is often a problem that developers have, because you're a techie or you're an enthusiast for your subject, you create far more features than are necessary. So, I mean, the first thing is often less is more. but of course you want these features to be available somehow. So the good thing I read is that you've got some feedback from customers, so that's great. I would try and get more feedback about exactly what it is they liked and didn't like. You won't be able to satisfy everybody all the time. It's impossible to do that. But really, it's about taking a step back and you yourself trying to understand, what you want your customer, your user to achieve first of all, basically, and what are their low-hanging fruit to get them hooked. So that's kind of back to the earlier question about stickiness. What is it your customer really values? Bring that up front and center. And then those other features which are overwhelming can be extra advanced features, advanced settings, and so on, slightly behind the scenes that you reach when you've either filled in a certain amount or made use of a certain other set of features first. So I would try and tier it that way, but also there are tools you can use. I mean, you can use AI to help look at different designs and sort of say, what it is you want to achieve. That might help. Talk to your friends, other users about which bits they want to get to first. I mean, it's kind of trial and error. So you can also use A/B testing. So you could have some features showing in one version and some in another and see how well those are received. The problem with that is you tend to need quite a lot of users. So if you're quite early stage, you might not get enough stats on the A/B testing to be useful. And actually you could alienate people rather than actually helping them, which you don't want to do if you're early on. But I think it's good that you've identified the problem, because I think a lot of companies have this problem. I'm guilty of it as well. Yeah, good to sort it out.
Thank you, Adrian. Naily?
Yes, I agree with what Adrian shared, especially when it comes to breaking things up in terms of normal users and power users based on which feature that they want to use and making sure that the easiest one to access are for the normal users. So one thing I will just also to help you kind of think about it differently, think about the fact that as human, we are lazy by nature, and the more options that we have and the more choices that we have leads to analysis paralysis, which means that it's pretty much your job, or your job as an expert, to be able to lead them to making the right options. I work with a startup that wanted to put about 20 different metrics in it on a dashboard, just because in recruitment techs, recruiters don't want to look at everything else. But imagine waking up and going to a dashboard and there's just so many options, when at the end of the day, most people only look at a few things. So in addition to what Adrian said, one other thing that you can also do, depending on the number of users you've had on your platform, is to try and actually track how people are using the features, whether you use a platform like Mixpanel, Hotjars, and there are others as well that are even more suitable for startups. But if you can get data of which features people use the most, then that's kind of like your narrow set of features that at least gives you starting points. Even if you were to do the A/B testing that Adrian mentioned, at least you can start by making sure that the journey towards these features are much more simpler and easier to get to. So being able to track that will give you actually real metrics as well that you can look at and try and see if people are using this many features, how easy it is to go there. The other thing I try to challenge my team on work is, for the main features, how many clicks do someone has to go through to get to that feature or to get to the answer? That's another way to start thinking a little bit differently and putting yourself in the shoes of the user, saying, if I come in here, how quickly would I get to that feature that I use the most, or that we think is the simplified version of what we have, whilst at the same time, yes, we have all of everything else that they might want and use, but if it's not used more often, those really want them, won't mind doing one extra click.
I guess it's me, I think. So there is something called the paradox of choice. I learned it in a book that I read at some point, which leads to decision paralysis. I think that's what you were saying, Nelly. Which then people can feel so overwhelmed they won't make a choice. A good example is Netflix. When you scroll for a movie, for example, you can never make a choice. Well, that's me anyway, so I'll take an hour. I guess my recommendation is to try and scale back as much as possible. I think it was mentioned to have like a core feature, so like a core USP, that is the most valuable feature that your users will buy into essentially and use. And I don't know if there's like a UX designer in the team, but I definitely recommend getting a UX designer within the team, because they will be looking at things like cognitive overload. And I think that's just the worst thing that you can do to someone, even though you want to show them all your services and you want to sell them the world and tell you how valuable you are. You have to let them try and discover the product and really use it in their own time.
I hear you. Thank you very much for that, Angelina. Let's go on to another question that was sent in. Again, those of you on the live streams, whether you're on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, please be aware that we are unfortunately unable to monitor your questions live. So if you do want to ask us anything, come join us here on Microsoft Teams. You can do that via our website, startup2scaleup.club. Scroll down a little bit, you'll find today's session, Startup Product and Tech Q&A 170. Click join. It's a quick registration, and then you'll be able to find the link there. It's audio only, which means you can join us from anywhere via any platform or device, and we're here to help you build your product and tech. Whether you've got questions or need ideas on your product roadmap, or testing, prototype, design, launching your MVP, and anything else you may need to get unstuck, basically. Now, the next question, that's an interesting. I'm an investor and co-CEO of a fintech startup in London. We're developing a savings tool tailored to single parents. We're preparing for Series A with a few hundred beta users, but our product roadmap feels like it's constantly shifting based on user requests. How can I articulate a vision that provides direction but allows for meaningful adjustments as we grow? My guess would be here that he is non-techie, but it seems that they've done quite well to reach to this point if they're prepping for Series A. Let's see what Naily, then Angelina, then Adrian got to say on this. What would you do if you're advising this person?
Well, definitely. I mean, if you are already looking at Series A and you have some users and they're actually engaged, you've done well. So I'll start with a congratulations on that point, because I work with fintech as well, and it can be quite hard to kind of get to that point. Now, in terms of the roadmap, the first thing I would say, it's especially from a startup, everything always evolved. So in a way, having a roadmap that's very static, it doesn't really happen. Now, the question, like the one thing I will look at is what are you actually putting in your roadmap? As much as the roadmap is not static, but some of the goals that you want to achieve in the roadmap needs to be, especially at the early stage, comes from the vision and what you want your startup to be. So if you already get to the point that you Series A, I'm assuming that as part of the pre-seed and all of those rounds, you've already consolidated what you want to do. Now, if that's the case, first question would be, how are you managing user feedback? Are you falling in the trap of every single time someone asks for a feature, this feature has to be critical, and this feature keeps on jumping the different stages of development and just become the most important one? So look at your roadmap and also splitting it in terms of what is really important that we want to achieve now. And that would be the differentiator, especially to kind of provide something that people are not using at the moment. What are the features that you want to put in the roadmap for the nearest future and later? So this will help you to start thinking differently and avoid the reactive phase that some startup founders fall themselves into, because there's just a lot of noise and a lot of feedback coming from everywhere else. The second thing, how are you writing your roadmap? Because you will have different style of roadmap. You have one that is kind of outward facing. So that's real, should really map with your vision. And that's what that you'll show to investors and the rest of the world. And then you have one that is for the development team that can have a lot of details. The mistake that I see is sometimes people use the roadmap that's internally facing that has a lot of details on what needs to happen in there, that kind of forgets to highlight the what and the value and goes more into how. As an example, I've had people that will have, I need to have an admin control panel settings in a roadmap that is external facing. We kind of know that it's something that you will need to have for your platform, but why is that in an external facing roadmap, which means that it limits the level of information that you have. Or the other bit would be, I don't know, couples need to save by automatically saving money directly once they paid or whatever. How you implement that, regardless of the feedback, the way you tackle that problem can change, but the goal or what you want to achieve is not going to change. So when you write your roadmap, really think about the features that explain the value. Those ones are less likely to move a lot. Is how you implementing those features and the user stories that goes underneath those massive features that is going to change a bit with the user feedback. So the first thing I would say, sit down, look at your roadmap and think about, am I going to details on the how I'm going to provide the value, and then move your roadmap, especially the externally facing, to show what you are going to do and what the value is, rather than all of the other things that it will change based on feedback and based on the direction of the platform.
So it would be great to know what business this was. I think it's CEO of finance, fintech startup. Sorry, I did know. I think from a high level, it sounds like what they're worried about the product going down a road or direction that they're not able to fully control. Because they have a vision and they want the vision to stay as is. From my perspective, it sounds like what they need to do is have a workshop session, probably across various parts of the business, to do like a visioning session to define what the vision is. And then what needs to happen is some sort of goals and key objectives set across the business, in order to kind of put some guardrails in place, but also give people the space to be able to have autonomy in their part of the product or roadmap, and set some KPIs. But I would say keep it as high level as possible, because you then take it away from the other members of staff who are experts within their field, who can really the word give a lot of that expertise. You kind of take it away when you define some things, especially roadmaps, down into too much detail. Then you don't allow for collaboration, for people to be able to kind of really bring their expertise. You're just kind of doing their jobs for them. So that's what I would recommend. And then also having things like around that, having things like feedback sessions, demo sessions, and being like super transparent as to what you're doing, and communicating that constantly with every staff member across the business. I think that helps hopefully with that question.
Yeah, so I agree. I think part of the problem maybe is the vision, as opposed to the roadmap. And as Angelina just said, the more you can engage with your stakeholders, particularly your employees and your staff, about what the vision really is, it will help you articulate it. So you have to kind of be quite broad, I think, with your vision, so that the vision itself is not constraining your business. The vision is supposed to be a long-term sort of thing you're aspiring to get to. You sometimes hear about people talking about mission, vision, and core values, and that can help. So the vision is something long-term and bold. The mission is what you're doing day to day to get there, and the values are some of the things that you adhere to, your ethos, as you go along. And you've already mentioned one of your values, really, which is to do with listening to your customer and making changes. Now, that's both a strength and a weakness, but you could build that into your business ethos and ultimately your vision, which is, look, we're customer focused. We tune what we're doing to what the market needs. So I think step away from it a bit. Don't get too hung up about it, but use the time to get your vision bought into by the rest of your team, and then that will help you with the pitching for your Series A as well. It'll just make everything a lot clearer.
Thank you very much for that, team. Well, let's go to another question. We've got 10 minutes to go. So let's see now. By the way, we've created a WhatsApp group specifically for our product and tech Q&A. So if anybody who wants to check out the recording and then wants to see the chat, you'll be able to find a link to our product and tech Q&A. You can connect with other founders, obviously our panelists / mentors, as well as send questions ahead of time. You can do that via the chat, and you can also discuss topics we touched on today. We'll now go on to Glasgow. Right, I'm the founder of a productivity app in Glasgow designed to help small business teams manage daily tasks. Our current onboarding process is brief, but it doesn't seem to effectively introduce new users to the core functionalities, leading to high drop-off rates. Okay, a bit similar to the previous ones. How can we design an onboarding experience that introduces the most valuable features without overwhelming users? What specific steps should we take to validate if our onboarding is effective before rolling it out widely? Angelina, do you want to go first, and then Naily, and last but not least, Adrian?
Yeah, sure. I would look at the thing is, when you start creating an onboarding journey, it's best to start off with a smaller one than a big long one, from my perspective. Depending on the business that you're in. So I'll give an example. Maybe if you are a e-commerce business, then your onboarding needs to be really short so that people can get in and start buying your products really quickly. But if you're a language company, maybe you want people to have more personalization of your content inside of the app. So your onboarding journey really depends on what products you sell and the type of features you want to sell. Really, you're looking at the benefits of utilizing or using the app, and yeah, just trying to get them in as quickly as possible. I would recommend getting some analytics across that journey and having like a funnel to understand which points people drop off, and that then links into your marketing team activities to understand, okay, how many people did come into the app, how many people actually completed onboarding, and how many people subscribed, for example. And then validation of onboarding, I think, was part of the question. If you have the opportunity from a technical perspective, things like, or tools like A/B testing tools to help you. So say if you have two different designs and you're not sure which one to go through, and there's conflict across the team, which happens very regularly because, one person thinks A is best, another person thinks B is best. Then having things like onboarding tools will, A/B testing tools will help with that. Thanks.
Thank you, Naily.
Yeah, so I think the first one again links nicely with what Angelina said in terms of the tracking analytics. I think I use the word assumption a lot whenever I work with my clients, because sometimes we make an assumptions but we're not even sure. So but the first question would be tracking analytics to see where do people go first when they first start. Let's say they've gone through onboarding, what are the next few actions that they will take? Because that will could show you as well whether your onboarding path is actually the right one, rather than you've onboarding them, they get there, but there's actually certain things that they want to do straight away. Maybe those needs to be highlighted. The second thing, there is an assumption that the drop-off rate is linked to the onboarding and not understanding the core functionalities. So how do you expose your core functionalities whilst avoiding the issue of the previous question that we dealt with earlier, which was too many options? A nice, clean way I've used in terms of the just taking an onboarding is to have a bit of a checklist. However you want to play with the checklist in your software and wherever you put it, it doesn't have to be super complicated, something very small that maybe highlight 5 different things. So it could be that you have a list of 5 things, and once they've been done the first time, that they get a tick for that. So if there are any features you want to highlight, then those will be a bit like gamification, if you could call it that way, where someone gets a tick when maybe they've created their first task, maybe where they've created a meeting directly from your app. Of course, I'm making up those features up, but that's kind of how we look into that, to not extensively changing your platform, but to be able to track all certain key things that will help people to know what you want them to do. But essentially, as I've said with everything else, before you even go into the development of that, make sure first that you really understand the reason for the drop-off rates. And it could be like, again, what Angelina said, it could have been a marketing issue. So the email that you send to your clients after they've signed up to your platform, are they interesting, and are they interesting enough? And does it give them some information? It's true that people might not always look at emails in terms of emails newsletters, but there is this thing that if I sign up on the platform, at least the first 3 emails are more likely to read them, and then after that, it's fair game. So use the 3 emails post signing up to your platform in a more constructive way, as a way of also exposing some of your features. So just to summarize, I would say first think about tracking analytics and really understanding why they are dropping off. Understand what do they do the most when they first start with your platform, and more importantly, if you really want to improve this aspect of exposing them to your features, think about a checklist that you can put on your platform, so that this gamification helps them to discover something that was probably hidden, but they will benefit from.
Yeah, good points from both Angelina and Nady there. So I mean, we face this problem with the software that we're developing and running as well, how to get people back to the stickiness problem, but to explore other features. Some of the things we're trying is nudging. So where people have come back, little dialogue somewhere on the screen that says, have you thought about this? Or did you know you can do that? And then even potentially you could have an explore more tour. So you could have like a little icon that takes you through some of the features that you've not explored. That can point off the app to, other resources like short videos, tutorials, depending on the complexity of what you're offering. So there are little ways that you can nudge your users to do a bit more and explore a bit more and make it useful to them and appealing to them. Something we've been looking at is also actually using AI for this a little bit, which is to try and profile the user based on what they've done, and then use AI to come back with a next step. So we're still working on that, but I think it's a useful way of kind of developing the business, being like a sales agent to tell users what else there is out there, potentially upsell what you've already got. So those are my thoughts.
Thank you very much to all 3 of you. I mean, this was absolutely brilliant. We are 1 minute away from wrapping up, so I don't think there is time for more questions. But perhaps, if you don't mind, team, I'd love to get some parting words before I let you go. So perhaps we can start with Nayli, then Angelina, and then Adrian, please. Anything you want to leave us with?
For me, I think the most important aspects when it comes to startup is how close you are to your customers. I think, building a product is always fun, and I see that a lot where a lot of people or teams go into the kitchen and spend a lot of time adding more features, which works if you're a large company or you are at the point where everything is being nailed down. But when you're a startup, every single time you want to get your developers to build something for you or vibe coding, I don't particularly care how you get it done, but every time you want to build something, always ask yourself, if what is the value and how can we half what we want to build and provide the same value, so that you cook only half of it, put it out, see how people react, and then decide whether the other half was even useful or whether that needs to be changed or evolved. So I think to me that's the biggest thing I do. I spend a lot of time leading tech teams as well as product teams, especially when I work with startups. One of the big challenge is always about how can we provide value but do less so that we have more time with our customers, get feedback, and then the second half, if we have to cook it, we cook it better or differently so that we don't burn our cash much earlier.
Thank you very much, Nelly. Hopefully you'll join us again. Angelina.
As usual, keep pushing forward, keep working hard, don't give up the fight. It can be hard at times, it can be difficult. Just keep moving forward. And yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you, Angelina. See you next time. Adrian.
Yeah, just to say, I think the questions were really good. And actually, going back to what I said right at the start, the problem often is market pull versus technology push. And these questions are very much around that, which is, things aren't sticky if the market doesn't want them. And if you're presenting too many features, that's you pushing things rather than letting the customer decide. So, it's not uncommon for all product developers to have these problems. So I think the questions are being really on the mark today. The other thing, I will actually also be at the business show on Thursday. So if anybody wants to meet up, please let me know. What I'll actually do is I'll come down to your session, Anton, in the afternoon and sort of hang around the theatre as well. So obviously to meet you, but also anybody else that wants to pop along.
That would be amazing. We can all maybe get together after the event because I know some other panelists will be there. So that's brilliant. See you on Thursday, Adrian. Right here, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. We're now 2 minutes over the line, which means it's time to wrap this baby up. Before my parting lines, 3 quick things. Number one, obviously, thank you to everybody that tuned in via the live streams. But almost no thank you. Please join us live on Microsoft Teams and interact with us here next time. It's audio only, and there's no need to be shy. I get it. Some people may feel a bit awkward about putting themselves out there, but believe you me, we've all been there and done it. I'll speak for myself. I've failed numerous times, way more times than I've succeeded, and most of those failures have been monumental failures. So there's nothing wrong with that. We run 6 regular sessions: Mondays talent, Tuesdays product and tech, Wednesdays growth, Thursdays fundraising. Second Friday of each month is UK startup law, and third Friday of each month is UK startup finances. They're all from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time, and they're all available via our site startup2scaleup.club. We also have a events page on Luma. If you search for Startup to Scale Up Club there. We also have a amazing community on WhatsApp. We've got various groups where you can connect with other founders, get topical about the Q&As we do, connect with investors, send questions ahead, touch on topics we discussed here, and all that jazz. Tomorrow, it would have normally been Startup Growth Q&A, but because we are doing this in person this time at the business show, which is in the Excel London, we are doing this on Thursday at 2:45. You can join us in person at Theatre 12 again, 2:45, with 4 amazing panelists, people who've sold companies into the millions, people who've made millions for their own companies or other people's companies. Get some questions and let's make that event, seminar, whatever you want to call it, the most interesting one in the entire business show. But if you do want a free ticket, we've got those. You can either find it here on the in the chat here on Microsoft Teams, or if you join our WhatsApp community, most of our groups have the link for free tickets to the business show at the top of the group. The business show goes on tomorrow and Thursday if you want to join us. And if you do make it there on Thursday, please come and see us in Theatre 12 during the session, but also after. Come and say hi. Now, as far as my parting words are concerned, just remember the startup journey can be both exciting but also quite challenging. So try to have some fun in the meantime and be kind to yourself and everyone else for that matter too. Otherwise, thank you again. Have a great afternoon. See you on Thursday at the business show, and God bless you all. Bye-bye for now.